And the funniest things that they would say to us is like, stuff it like you'd stuff anything.
I remember this woman, be like, for $1? Just, putting them in her pocketbook. And her friend saying, what are you gonna do with those? And she said, I'm gonna stuff them. And she said, how are you gonna stuff them? And she said, you stuff them like you stuff anything.
As it was like so
and you
obvious.
and I looked at each other and we were
no
like,
idea what she was
I don't
talking
know,
about.
You do just stuff it like you stuff anything. Hi, I'm Amanda. Welcome to the Amber Waves Farmcast.
I'm Katie. Welcome back. We're so excited today to have such a bounty in front of us. We've been seeding, planting, cultivating, and now we are coming into harvest season. So we're excited to dig in and give you farmer tips and tricks about our favorite produce and the produce that's happening on the farm right now in July. What's your favorite thing that, right off the bat, knee jerk, what's your favorite thing that you see on the table?
Well, it's funny because I feel like my perception as a farmer is always skewed of the things that you look on at the table that maybe they're classically beautiful to an eater, but then as a grower I'm looking and I have such pride over a few particular things on this table. If I made you guess what I was going to say, I bet you probably could, but the things I feel such pride about are those carrots and those onions.
Okay, great. I understand why you feel pride about them from a grower's perspective and a farmer's perspective. It's taken us a long time to get really good at growing these crops, and they're not easy. And I think it's, boy, do we have some stories to tell about those babies. Carrots and onions, it's like mirepoix, but boy, they're really the foundation of all the cooking that we do. So let's talk about that first.
So July is starting to be a really fun time because there's so much solid food. Our early season CSA boxes are really greens heavy, which is great. You're coming off of a winter of root vegetables. It's a lot of browns and oranges. It's nice to kind of get some green, get things moving, have it be, have kind of a fleet of salads in the spring. But this is such a fun time of year now that we have actual solid food coming out of the fields. So the onions in particular, these are the very first thing that we transplant out. We buy these slips in, so they come as baby plants in bundles in the mail. The days that we're planting these onions, it's still super cold. The soil is very cold. Those are some unpleasant days. You're trying to make as small a hole as possible, as deep a hole as possible to put this tiny onion, this tiny onion plant in the ground. And then our trick with the onions, and something that we've gotten better at, is that because there's no foliar cover, because they just grow straight upright, they can't shade out any weeds around them. And so we have to keep them weeded. So we're growing them in a biodegradable mulch film, but even so, weeds are such opportunists that any open little bit of soil in the hole that the onion is planted in is an opportunity for a weed. And so the onion field this year looks phenomenal. We kind of have this joke that onions are hard for us because it's hard to stay on top of the weeds, and of course we're not spraying a chemical herbicide. And so we'll do 6 beds of onions, 8 beds of onions. It'll go phenomenally. It'll be fantastic. And we think to ourselves, we are so good at growing onions, let's double our production. And then the following year we do 15, 20 beds of onions. They get away from us. We lose some to weeds. The size of the onion suffers, and we think, whoa, we got to scale this back. So then we go back to 6 beds, and the next year we say, we are so good at growing onions. We got to double our production again. So this was one of the first years, or I guess the first kind of set of years that we nailed it on 8 beds last year. And we just said, just do it again. Just nail it on 8 beds again. And it was like the amount that the crew did a fantastic job taking care of. So it's really fun when they're coming out of the field right now, because this is, it's a fresh onion, a spring onion or a green onion, however you want to say it. So the varieties that we are choosing now, we're really growing them for fresh. And so we won't even cure any of these in the greenhouse. This is really for the CSA, for the fresh market. And when we're out, we're out. And that's kind of how we've decided to treat this crop.
Yeah, and can you, Amanda, talk a little bit more about what you mean by curing versus fresh? Like fresh from the ground, we just harvested, and what is curing?
Great question. So an onion that you're buying in the grocery store, of course, you see these in the grocery store. You see bunched onions like this in the fridge section. But then you get over to the bulk staple section, and you're seeing like a papery yellow onion, a red onion. A white onion. And so those onions have been cured, meaning they have been dried. So a fresh onion like this is going to be so much punchier and juicier, and actually a little less intense in terms of flavor because there's so many juices that the juices haven't dehydrated out yet. But this is a special thing. You know, a fresh onion's a special thing. As a kind of like basic, you know, mirepoix as you think of an onion being. This is a thing to celebrate. Also, when they're like this, you can use the entire plant.
Right.
So
I think that
if I were
that's
bringing
a
this
really
home,
fun
I would,
aspect of this.
you know, apart from like the little brown tips, but otherwise, I would use the whole. I would chop up the entire plant. I would rough chop the bottom, dice the bottom. Do this in oil first, and then put the greens in second because they're going to cook faster, but are just going to provide so much more fun texture to whatever dish that you're making. So I started with maybe what would.
I mean, would you be willing to bite into this right now like an apple because of its mild flavor and its juicy? I mean, how fun is that?
I mean, you have to be
brave like you are and bold like you are. But what?
I'm not sad about it.
You're not crying.
I'm not crying.
Yeah, I think that there is
the juiciness factor is a fun detail.
Yeah,
we're gonna bite into garlic next. Okay, so what?
Really upping the ante here.
So what do you when you look at the table? What are you the most excited about?
That I'm gonna tuck these back here for us. Well, I agree. I'm so excited that there's some solid foods here. There are a lot of greens on our table still now, though, like this beautiful Swiss chard. So I am super excited about this.
I'm so surprised that you're choosing Swiss chard first.
Okay, let me tell you, it's been my opportunity vegetable, kind of akin to the beet. They're cousins, as we know. But I'm kaled out. So this is an opportunity for a colorful. So visually, the color of this rainbow Swiss chard is exciting to me right now, but then also the flavor profile shift away from brassica, because there's been a spring of brassica. So one of our chef friends...
Remind us what you mean by brassica.
Brassica. Okay, so a brassica is a plant family, and there are a lot of vegetables we grow that are in the brassica family, including something like a radish, or kale, or broccoli, or broccolini, or kohlrabi, or any of the
Brussels
mustard
sprouts
greens,
or cabbage. Yeah,
it's a huge family,
a huge plant family,
fields, that particularly likes the cool spring. So we're almost out of it, but we did have an extended cold spring, so they're still here and they're still looking great. But in the world of still wanting to get my greens in, I'm happy to have a different texture and flavor. So, and this I'm sauteing with the fresh garlic. I'm most excited about these two things on the table right now, the garlic and the Swiss chard.
I think that when, back in 2008, when you and I first met and we were working as farm apprentices that summer, I think that harvesting Swiss chard is maybe the thing that made me fall in love with farming. I could not believe that this color came from the field. Remember, we were harvesting for the farmer's market, and so you'd be cutting, cutting chard to make a mixed bunch, trying to balance the color profile so that we're leaning towards pink here, but so there'd be orange and yellow and red and pink and white stems in a single bunch. I just couldn't get over it because Swiss chard was not a vegetable that I grew up with in my family.
No, me either.
So I think I
discovered it as a farmer.
Yeah, I did not know about it before. But I didn't know about kale before we started farming either. I was not on the kale train before. I don't know, how does it?
No, I know. Look, this color comes
color.
from nature. It's gorgeous.
Something about it existing in a stem like this also feels, I don't know, more surprising than a radish, but maybe it's just because we're used to looking at a radish. So, okay, so you also pointed to the garlic.
Yeah.
So what do you remember about our first ever garlic harvest?
Well, that was 18 years ago, so you're really testing my memory here. But it is very memorable because, well, first of all, our mentor, Scott Chasky, who was teaching us about growing, this is one of his favorite crops.
Yeah.
So sometimes your mentor imprints on you, their favorite crop becomes your favorite crop, which happened with both of us.
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons. But what I do remember about that garlic harvest year. It was around your birthday.
It was my birthday.
On your birthday.
It was my birthday.
July
I remember,
14th.
I remember having such pride that we were doing something that was so physically hard on my birthday. And I turned, how old did I turn that year?
You don't really have to define it right now if you don't
I think
want to. It was a while
ago.
ago.
It was the year that I turned 23. And
we were so young.
I was so young. And I just had such pride that we were doing, I think, Scott's favorite thing on my birthday also. I just, I loved it.
Yeah. Okay. So, but I don't think I realized, I mean, we weren't part of planting the garlic.
We had never planted garlic yet, yeah.
The garlic planting on the east end of Long Island happens in October, so it had overwintered and grown, and we were coming into our apprenticeship year, and we were watching it. We pulled it as green garlic, we snapped the scapes, and then it was harvest time, but we had not been a part of the planting part, and I had never harvested a hardneck garlic before. So you really got to get your body into it. You really got to like engage your core in a way, because the root system on garlic, well, this little pretty bitty is such a good example of this. So the root system on a hardneck garlic is really intense. It's been growing for 9 months. And then up comes with it, we have a very silty loam soil. Good thing that this is good. So you have to really engage the core and pull the entire bulb and neck and roots along with soil out. But then here you are, this was freshly pulled today on our farm, but then here you are with all of those soil bound roots, and you don't ever want to take the soil out of the field
as little
because
as possible.
The value of topsoil is just extraordinary, so you got to keep it where it's at. So then we were tap 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 tap, and look what's coming out. I mean, it's tablespoons upon tablespoons, and 15,000 heads later, that adds up to be something. But I also remember having intense blisters on my hands.
So many blisters,
because
even with
the
gloves,
neck of the garlic, it's just like playing a game of tug of war. I also remember that you lost your driver's license.
No, we found a driver's license.
Oh.
We found Jill's driver's license.
Oh, we found a driver's license.
She lost her driver. Anyway, there was a driver's license in play. Wasn't mine.
It was some discovery of some situation. And then we can talk about the curing process of garlic and what comes out of the field. So that's what I remember of it. But I remember the piles upon piles that we were barrel scooping these. I mean, I think that year was probably 12,000 head, in the tens of thousands. There was a lot of garlic coming out of that farm. And also we had not harvested a bulk crop all at once.
Yeah. So
that's really what's special about this, and also
what's on the
hard about
it's
this.
Fun now also, I mean, in addition to there being a mix of solid food and greens, is that also this is the first bulk crop of the year that we're going to harvest. So by bulk crop, I mean something that we plant all at once and we harvest all at once. Gosh, that's such a beautiful.
This is just getting. I know, it's like unwrapping a present. It's just oh man. So what I'm doing is I'm just peeling off the outer layers of the skin here, which you don't do too much, but you just do just enough.
So we, so back in the day when we were, our first year of harvesting, Scott loves a hand tool, and so we were forking, we were digging, stabbing a fork in, pulling it back toward yourself, move 6 inches, stab and dig to loosen the bulbs, and the person would go behind and pull, pile, grab, load. But in the meantime, there's this fine dust around you and you're sweating, sticking to every centimeter of exposed skin. Right. There's soil falling into your boots, down your shirt, behind your watch. You're just covered. It's a dirty job and a hard job. So now at our farm, we love to reserve hand labor for specialized tasks, and we try to remove as much back-breaking labor as we can. So we have a root lifter that goes, that's a rear-mounted tractor implement that digs under the bed and lifts everything. And so when you're driving the root lifter, you look back and it's just the garlics are kind of just going ping, ping, ping. It's kind of like felling trees. And so the harvesters are able to much more easily
pick up, not necessarily pull. And
Right, it's still they're coming out of clods of soil, so there's still a lot of tapping, but it's not the literal digging that you and I were doing back there.
Yeah, and so
I see that you went all the way down.
I'm going all the way in so we can open this baby up. This is a German white hardneck garlic.
Basically all
varieties. We have been
varieties
saving our own seed as well.
Yes.
So that's something that we're really proud of and something to talk about. So garlic is one of our favorites to grow, but the really fun part of this in saving your own seed, the seed is the clove. So you go open the head, open the bulb, select the largest cloves, and then save those for seed. But this freshly harvested garlic is also same as the allium, the onion family, is unlike any other time of year. This garlic now,
for the next probably 3 weeks, the garlic is like this.
I would describe it, not everyone's so familiar with freshly harvested garlic, but the essence of it is juicy. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of akin to that fresh spring onion. But what it's really doing, again, this has not cured, much like the onion.
Are you preparing to bite it?
I am, because you said that earlier. Which I also,
Are you going to have a fire stomach?
I mean, I'm just working on my gut health.
We're going to be excellent company after this.
Totally. Okay, it is in our
own kitchens. I think it's
crunchy and delicious.
Similar to what we were describing of the onions, where the flavor is juicier and actually a little milder now because it's pre-drying.
Right.
The next 3 weeks, for anyone who's shopping at a farmer's market or in a CSA that's getting the first garlic of 2025, it's exciting to just use this in your kitchen for just the 3 weeks that it's here. Anything that's as a short season crop, whether it's asparagus or fresh garlic or fresh onions, or it's fun to just have something that you can only get for a little while. After that, we love the cured garlic, and it will last us almost until next year's green garlic harvest. So that's great too. But it's really fun to play with this in our kitchen. So we're really celebrating this in the CSA right now.
And so what makes this garlic so special also is that it's a hardneck variety, which is found often at farmers markets or in CSAs, but the commercially available varieties in grocery stores are a soft neck variety, and 90% of the garlic grown in this grown globally, we're importing 90% of it from China.
Yes.
So it's often harvested a long time ago and comes from far, far away. So the essence of having a variety that's grown for flavor, for nutrition, for the amazing culinary aspects of it, that's true for garlic, but that's true for most of the varieties of vegetables, of why we choose to grow this specific variety. There are thousands of varieties of garlic, but we're choosing this for flavor. We don't have to choose it for storage, or we don't have to choose it for shippability, and we're choosing it for nutrition. Oh, I know where we're going.
Where do you want to go?
We're going to Cucurbitville.
That we had, remember?
We did the indoor growing experiment.
Yeah, that for 5 minutes, like 10 years ago, we were growing Persian cucumbers indoors, and we just don't have the indoor growing space to do it. That's really, thanks. We're just having a
snack
salad.
about it.
Yeah,
we're having a snack about it.
Thank you so much.
So these are the thin-skinned Japanese variety that they're picking them when they're relatively young still too. Also on top of it, they're not letting them balloon out and into something larger. Although I think that is something fun to talk about. Picking vegetables at different stages of their life have different culinary uses, such that we're eating fresh, or doing something with crudité, or slicing it up and just eating it with salt, as opposed to, oops, I forgot to harvest it for 5 days and now it's a gargantuan baseball bat. What are we going to do with it? So I just tried our cucumber gazpacho up in the market. Very good. So that's something you can do. Make a cold summer soup, or we're juicing with them. So there is a catch-all, I think, because we've created these different avenues for vegetables. Sure, vegetables can come in the CSA box, direct to consumer, eat it at home, enjoy it. But for all the other not perfectly sized or aesthetically beautiful the seconds, if you will, because of size or shape or non-marketability, they're going pretty quickly into juicer or blender and being used and consumed in value-added products that we sell through our market and kitchen. So that has been, I think...
If you're kaled out, that's the way to still get your kale.
Yeah.
Is the green juice. Or the kale cheddar scone.
This is so good.
I know, it is so good. It's so fun to just finally have a cucumber back. We, well, in farming together for as long as we have been, for 18 years.
Yes.
I know this is I already know what this, oh, you're going for that. I was going to ask you a different question. I was going to ask you a question about what we call opportunity vegetables. And an opportunity vegetable is a vegetable that's not your favorite, that you have the opportunity to improve your relationship with. So as we look at the table, you know, I asked we were talking about our favorites, but do you see your opportunity vegetable on the table?
I do. I put it front and center so that we could talk about it. It's right here, Senorita Beet. Yes, but I have, though, I brought a few different varieties so we can cut them open and see what's going on here. I think part of the reason I did not grow up eating beets, and I'm like a latecomer to beets. In my 30s, I started eating beets, and I started eating them a lot in my 40s because they're in my house a lot because they just are. And so now when I'm eating them,
over 40 beets they just make their way in.
I know, but okay, but this is fun because we grow some heirloom varieties. This is an Italian heirloom variety of beet. This is going to be your traditional blood red bull's blood beet. I thought there was a golden one in here too. Anyways, we're really creating a candy colored beetopia here.
So how are you cooking beets at home now?
I'm boiling them.
And peeling them.
I'm boiling them and peeling them. And Farmer Scott, our mentor, I always watched him. It was the first time I think I had a cooked boiled beet. Was at his house, and he said the key is to add vinegar to the water when you're boiling the beets, and there's something that enhances the flavor but also mellows it out, balances it out, but brings out that, you know, unique, intense earthiness.
Well, I think it's funny because I think
chemical compound is like
the thing that I think that I love
so
about
good.
people. I mean, beets are really polarizing. I think that
they are. Like, I didn't like you a decade ago, and as much as I do now, because of that.
So the very thing
sweet earth
that turns you off about them turns me on about them.
Yes, I know.
Which is
see
that
why.
they taste like the earth.
Right.
And I think we're so fortunate that we get to have our hands in soil, and the idea of tasting the flavor of what soil kind of tastes like, but not, I know that sounds gross, but it doesn't. Well, if you like a beet and you don't happen to get to work in soil, that is what soil smells and tastes like, I guess.
It is really representative of the essence of soil in a food.
and that's something that I really love about it. So we've gotten better at growing beets. Beets are one of the things now that we try to have kind of as much as we can over the course of the season. Everyone loves a golden beet. They're a little less productive, a little harder to grow. The Chioggia is also, obviously, that's so fun. It's so fun to have a candy stripe. And then the bull's blood, as you, what a name.
What a name. Well, the names that we could do a whole episode about the names of these vegetables. They're extraordinary, the variety names.
So back when we were at Quail Hill, I think I also, because Scott was like, boil them, and I didn't grow up with beets either. I was boiling them, but now I almost never do that. I roast them. So I'm certainly cooking them less in the summer than I would in the fall, because like, who's trying to have a hot kitchen with like a full oven of roasted beets? But the beets are the key to a couple of the salads that we make in our market. They're raw. They're shaved super thinly, right. Which provides such this fun pop of color, along with carrots. Actually, this is a good segue to carrots as a topping. So I'm going to talk about.
So the most recent, I'm gonna second what you said about the roasting beets, especially like we're outside right now, there's live fire, you're cooking on the beach, it's a bonfire, but the beet and the garlic too can be oiled and tinfoiled, and you just throw it right into the coal and you walk away.
Yeah.
So that's also that candy, like seals in that candy coated outer layer, but steams the inside, and it's so delicious with the smoky flavor of the coals. So I hear you on that. I'm gonna stop boiling them for the next 4 months.
Because you're gonna put them in coals.
Because I'm gonna cook outside with fire and put them in the coals. Yes.
Okay, so another thing that feels kind of basic, but is really an exciting thing is a beautiful sweet carrot. So carrots, kind of like their onion friends, they're tricky to grow because of weed competition. So when we're planting carrots, they first of all take a really long time to germinate, for the seeds to actually germinate. And in the time where we're waiting for the carrots to germinate, the weeds all around them are germinating faster. So a carrot seed takes about 10 days to germinate. A weed seed can germinate in 48 hours. So you're planting a carrot, you're waiting 10 days for the carrot to germinate, and in the meantime, a weed has germinated and then has 8 days of growth before the carrot even starts to show up. So that is the challenge of growing a carrot on an organic farm where we're not spraying herbicides to kill weeds. That's a challenge. So this year, the carrot production is fantastic because we're stale seed bedding. So we're shaping a bare bed. We're tilling, turning the soil over super shallow to get the first flush of weeds to germinate, tilling in that first flush of weeds, and then seeding carrots. And so all of the weed seeds that are in that very top centimeter of soil that would be germinating because we're irrigating and the sunlight, they're gone. And so now carrots have this fighting chance. And so we've been meaning to do this for years, and we finally just have this year. And so we just have beds of fantastic, beautiful carrots. Have you tried one? I'm sure that you have.
I have. I was in the field yesterday picking them with the girls. Also, by way of an educational tool on the farm for kids, the iconic pulling up a carrot and the wow factor that brings, and that you're just wiping it on your jeans and you're going right in, no washing necessary. Mm-hmm. Taking a bite.
There's such a fun thing about harvesting anything that feels like there's this, I guess, to describe it to people who haven't had the joy of picking something, although probably everyone has picked something. They've gone apple picking or pumpkin picking, but there's this thing that comes over you that's almost like an instinctive carnal hunter-gatherer thing that you're like, I want that one. And it drives you. It's particularly present when you're picking tomatoes, I find, and you see the one that you want and you set eyes on it and you're going for it. But there's some literal thrill, like a little peak of excitement in your stomach that comes from pulling something from the ground that you don't quite know what it's going to be. So when we're harvesting radishes, it feels like an Easter egg hunt. We're kind of feeling around for the shoulders. You're looking for shoulders that have popped up above the soil, but you don't quite know what's going to come out. In the same with carrots. And that has just never gotten old.
Let's get into radishes for a minute.
So we're starting to get into spicy radish season.
Yeah, we sure are. So let's talk about what that means.
So the spicier, radishes get spicier, the warmer the soil temperature is. So a midsummer radish going to be spicier than an early spring radish. So we're in spicy radish season. Yep. The good news, so if you love a spicy radish, great, this is the time for you. If you don't love a spicy radish, fear not. You just slice it and then don't do anything with it for 30 minutes, and the exposure to the air actually kills some of the heat. So that makes a huge difference.
Do you find that's also true if you're mandolining it, preparing it for something, and you're keeping it hydrated in water, chilled water, that also mellows it out?
I don't usually do that, but that is another
thing.
This is actually, this to me feels like, if you're a radish lover, this is the perfect amount of heat, I think.
You could also slather it in butter and salt,
and you
that
should.
Also,
you should. That's exactly what you should do.
Efficiently recalibrates all that is good about a radish.
Yeah, anything that can be a butter vehicle is kind of what we are excited about.
This is the perfect radish,
it is.
though. This is called Rudolph cherry bomb.
We grow such a variety now that for fun flavor, but also just to spread our risk of who's going to perform better. Okay, I'm jumping us to romaine.
You're wild.
We love romaine because we love a Caesar salad.
Yeah, right.
So
Icon.
in our market, one of our top selling items is a chicken Caesar wrap, which we could not do without this beautiful romaine. And so we have gotten good at it. And it's something that, were we growing romaine in the early years of the farm?
No, because I think what we thought was it's too average. It's too common. It's too regular. It's accessible in the grocery store, and we want to do standout lettuce varieties.
I don't think we grew a red tomato our first season.
We were like, gosh,
you
can get that anywhere. We're going to do the specialties. So can you, though, let's talk about, and can you please talk about the varieties, the vast amount of varieties
of lettuce?
Well, let's start with lettuce and then overall, and why we do that and why it's important to do that, both as a grower and an eater.
With all these things on the table, anything that we can grow in our are we still 7B in zones?
Yes.
Okay, in our 7B USDA, growing zone, anything that it's possible for us to have, we are trying to have for as much of the season as we can. So we're doing a lot of succession plantings to have a consistent supply of everything. So we are planting lettuce 20 times. We are planting cucumbers 12 times. We are planting, we are planting garlic only once because it's a storage crop. We are planting radishes 40 times so that we have a consistent supply of everything that's happening. So we're basically always seeding, transplanting, harvesting lettuce from we're seeding it for the first time in March, and we probably are doing the last lettuce seeding in the month of August, gets transplanted out in September, and then it kind of, stays in the field, kind of becomes a refrigerator. So across the lettuce spectrum, we're growing head lettuce, loose leaf lettuce, romaine lettuce, and then varieties that are particularly well suited either for cool spring temps or they're bolt resistant, so meaning that they won't go to seed, won't go to flower in the high summer temps, and then ones that again can sustain cool temperatures in the fall. So we're growing dozens of varieties of lettuce in a variety of colors that we're planting. Some varieties in the spring, different ones in the winter, different ones in the fall, so that we can have this kind of arc of lettuce availability. So as a customer, it just feels consistent. But as a grower, it's like moving pieces on a chessboard to figure out how to have romaine all the time. And so there are a few romaine varieties that are heat tolerant that are so popular among growers that they're selling out like as soon as they're on the shelves. So we've learned this is that, they're really popular varieties. You have to order them when we're doing our seed order, you have to get them in November or December for the next season. Otherwise they'll sell out and you just can't grow that variety. And it's a bummer to not have a lettuce that is heat tolerant such that it won't bolt. And by bolt, I mean, so, this head is beautiful. It's like a beautifully formed romaine heart here. But as it wants to, plant's life cycle, they want to go to seed. Everything is trying to flower. And really our whole job as farmers is to kind of manipulate that desired life cycle of the plant to get what we want out of the plant. And so we're trying to cut it before it starts bolting. So as soon as the plant starts transitioning its energy from, I'm going to grow sweet leaves for you, of I am producing seed. Leaves get bitter, they get tough. It's not of eating quality anymore. So we're wanting varieties that sustain in the heat. Heat really pushes that going to seed or going to flower or bolting, however you ever want to see it, or however you want to say it. And so we're looking for bolt tolerant this time of year because it's July, because it's the heat of July. I mean, in our early years of farming, we weren't as sophisticated about the varieties that we were choosing, and we had a tough time. Growing lettuces, and I think now, because the farm is bigger and we have a bigger crew and more equipment, it's easier for us to seed, transplant, and harvest lettuce much more frequently. So when in the early years, we were maybe seeding lettuce 4 times over the course of the summer. Now we're doing it 20, and so we're planting smaller plantings closer together so that we just constantly have a fresh supply. So what are you loving of baby greens?
I love this spicy salad mix.
TM. Proprietary.
Yeah, very proprietary, both because we make the mix ourselves. It's a combination of tot soy,
You're going to give it away?
baby mustards.
Give away a recipe?
No, I'm not going to give it. No, you always leave one ingredient out. I won't tell you what this is. But this is picked at the perfect size such that you don't have to cut it with your fork or knife. It's a one bite. It's tender. It's not so heated up with the summer heat in the spicy factor yet. And I'm just loving it. I think it can be simply dressed with a lemon vinaigrette, and you don't
using
have
enough
to
lemon these days.
Oh, it's my exclusive acid and vinegar in making a dressing. I
often just don't have. Yeah, I just need to remember to do it. Every time I do it, I'm glad about it.
I agree. But the nice part about it is it has of course, the very obvious citrusy element, but it's gentle acid.
Yeah.
And this doesn't really need anything other tthan to have its flavor elevated, I think. and that does that. So so this is will you tell us a little bit about growing a spicy salad mix?
Yes.
And what we're talking about is a baby green, if you will. It's not micro, it's older than micro, but it's about 2 to 3 inches of green that takes about, depending on the time of year,
I would say 10
to 25 days.
I would say 25 days
given the weather
is where we're harvesting this. So baby greens are one of our goals at the farm, and something that I'm so proud of that we finally have is a consistent supply of cleaned, washed, dried baby greens that are just ready to rock. It makes eating a vegetable in your kitchen so much easier. It's not lost on me, that convenience factor. Bringing a head of lettuce home and having to wash it and deal with it, it is a thing. And this kind of baby greens remove barriers to entry, and so it's why we try to always have them. So the things we're seeding and harvesting very regularly as baby greens are baby kale, our mesclun mix, and our version of mesclun mix is called it's called spicy salad. We do a lettuce mix, but it's actually it's a head lettuce that grows like a baby lettuce called Salanova that we love for our lettuce mix in the bag, and then baby arugula. And the arugula is the top seller. I think spicy salad is right after it. I think that word spicy kind of scares some people. It's truly not that spicy. It is a little mustardy, so if you're not a mustard greens person, maybe that's not your favorite. But we're seeding these greens every 5 days over the course of the season to make sure that we have a constant supply, and the team is cutting baby greens, every day. So our goal is to have a bag of salad in every single CSA box over the course of the season, to just give everybody kind of that really easy, at least one little gimme easy.
Convenient. Right.
Yeah,
you can pull it right out of the bag and serve it.
I love
ready to go.
The spicy mix because of the color and texture and shape difference. Yeah. So that's usually the one. I go back and forth between this and arugula, bringing this home. So the next thing that I want to ask you about is what you do with. Well, first of all, I think showing the difference between a couple of days in the field on things that grow super fast of those friends, like Russian dolls.
Yes, right. So, yes, I am at this point in July still very excited about zucchini.
We're not zucchini'd out yet. There will come a time.
It's probably going to happen for me in about 2 weeks, but it's still for me right now an exciting solid food. So what's happening here is the difference of really just, oops, I forgot to harvest that today because I didn't see it because it was under a leaf when I wanted to be harvesting
shady out there. Yeah.
Something that's really chef size, truly. Tender, seeds haven't developed yet. But you can't, they can be quite camouflaged. So then when you're coming back for your next zucchini walk, really truly a day or two, it's going from this to this. And anyone who's grown zucchini in their backyard has actually accidentally ended up with a baseball
With a
bat.
baseball bat.
And so here we are, oops, I missed it 2 times, and now you have your A, B, and C, and you can eat them all, of course, and you can treat them all so differently in your kitchen, which is, if you're flexible about it, then that makes it fun. So I'm just having these and putting them on the grill.
We don't go to farmers markets.
This is like a dumbbell.
It is a dumbbell. We don't go to farmers markets anymore because we're so fortunate to have a huge CSA and a retail market right on our property, and our work with food pantries and our work with chefs, and so we don't slog food to the farmers market anymore. But do you remember how we used to rid ourselves of all of these huge zucchinis when we would go to the Montauk Farmers Market every week?
I remember trying to sell them by really keeping the price low, like $1 each.
$1 each.
And boy, you would get these Italian nonas strolling over, seeing something for sale for $1. And it was just the joy of their life, because from an Italian kitchen garden comes a very large, and we were also growing Italian.
The Costata
Romanesca, right? So we were growing this variety that they hadn't seen probably in a long time either, because that's not commercially available either. But $1 for a 5-pound zucchini that looks like, it's like having a little baby. But those women were passionate about you're not like slicing it and grilling it like I would normally think of, like, oh, I'm gonna grill this baby up. No, they are stuffing it.
They're stuffing it.
And they're stuffing it. And the funniest things that they would say to us is like, stuff it like you'd stuff anything.
I remember the specific they stuck with us.
What else are you gonna stuff? And then they would say, stuff those peppers, stuff those tomatoes, stuff those zucchinis, stuff those eggplant.
Funniest conversations. I mean, the people watching and conversations that we had at the farmers markets are some of my favorite things to remember. But I just have this distinct memory, the same one that you do, of this woman, she'd be like, for $1, just putting them in her pocketbook. A pocketbook, and her friend saying, "What are you going to do with those?" And she said, "I'm going to stuff them." And she said, "How are you going to stuff them?" And she said, "You stuff them like you stuff anything."
As if it's like, so
and you
obvious.
And I looked at each other,
I had
and we
no
were like,
idea what she was
I don't know,
talking
you
about.
do just stuff it like you stuff anything. Like scoop out the seeds, and like you do with cheese and a breadcrumb and a whatever, you just stuff it. And so I don't think I stuff them like I would stuff anything enough. I
think we gotta stuff them. Let's make it a point to stuff them this year.
Makes me feel like I should do it like next, right after this.
Well, I also remember learning from one of our British customers that they call this marrow.
Do you remember that hysterical conversation that we had with this person?
And just as a reminder, folks, Amanda's last name is Marrow. This got confusing real fast.
But when we were, young and like hadn't been to Europe or known it, the word aubergine and the word marrow, so someone came to the stand and said, "Do you have any marrow?" And I was like, "This is my last name," and I was like, "I'm Amanda Marrow," and they were like, "Why are you saying that? Do you have marrow?" And I was like, what? Like, I just couldn't.
And I didn't understand the context.
And
they were like, thought I was like you, but then also the only other known for me is bone.
Right, of bone. And I was like, well, no, because we're vegetables. So like, what do you even mean? Anyway, it was a learning day. Everyone was embarrassed.
And boy, that is the fun part about food and community, that you can call the same vegetable different names in different countries, but you all still enjoy it and then you learn something.
Yeah. The regional and national differences. Okay, so we are.
Oh boy!
All right, so this is July.
What do you have up your sleeve?
Well, this is July produce, but so I will tell you that I'm not in the fields nearly as much as we used to be. I'm still in a tractor every week, but I'm not slogging through looking at everything the way that we used to. And so, one of my favorite little things about the way that the farm crew keeps me included in what's happening is that there's a little spot on my desk where they bring me things that they find, and it's kind of like your calling card of like, who left this here? And so they bring me, I've brought a few things that people have brought me in like the last week. This is not food. This is a really exciting find. Over the years, we have found so many relics in the field, and we don't find as many anymore because we've kind of found them. We have found the horseshoes, we've found stirrups, we've like lost wrenches that ruined someone's day. 85 years ago. But anyway, Isabel recently found this horseshoe and left it on my desk, and we have, as you know, a collection of these, so I'm thrilled about this. Okay, so I just had to show you that. But the other thing that got brought to me, a couple of things that got, oh no, did it fall? Where did that go? Where'd the wheat go? Okay, so a couple of things that got brought to me within the last couple of days are wheat sample with 2 Post-it notes saying,
Is it ready?
soft red warthog. Amanda, what do you think? Is it ready? Here's a sample. And so we're going to start this week harvesting the wheat. So soon we will talk about wheat, whole wheat flour. So we'll harvest wheat the 3rd week of July. The winter wheat. We'll harvest the spring wheat in August. So that's coming soon. So this is kind of like just a little teaser. But the other little present that they brought me on my desk is
They're
the
here!
very first of the cherry tomatoes. I'm so excited about it.
Wow,
So
amazing.
it's always right around my birthday that we start to pull them. And I think tomatoes take so much energy and oxygen and time and thought for the farm crew. We do so many varieties, and it's keeping the varieties separate, and we start them in very small soil blocks, and then pot them up, and then we're planting them out, in peat pots, and the first round goes in under row cover. So you have to put in wickets and put it under row cover, and then we're removing the row cover to weed, and then putting it back on, and then removing the row cover, and then everything has to be staked, and then we're stringing everything once a week. And so it's this tremendous amount of effort to keep the tomatoes healthy and happy. And we've been talking about it, and they've been working on it since March. And so at the end of July, if you haven't farmed before, you're a little bit like, what are we doing with this crop that we keep talking about? And then all of a sudden they're here. And this trellising isn't so hard because the strings on the trellis now are higher. You don't have to bend over so much. I can just see them in the distance over there, round one. You can see like how tall they are. It's amazing. So cherry tomatoes come in first. They're a little faster than the full-size beef steaks, and then we'll have beef steaks after that. So we're like a week away from having pints and pints that we're able to actually sell. But this is always, the day that I get the tomato sample on my desk is kind of my favorite.
So remind me, how many tomato varieties are we growing on the farm this season?
Oh, that's a good question. My guess would be 45. A couple of beefsteak varieties. I mean, we've really kind of zeroed in on determinate beefsteaks, so the plants that stay shorter, that kind of have a concentrated fruit set for like the red round beefsteaks, and then a beautiful array of heirloom full-size slicers, and then the cherries. And we have probably more varieties of cherries than anything else because we do a few mixes, so that in our like mixed heirloom pints, there's like stripies and oblong and pear-shaped and all these different varieties. But so the ones that we're holding are a sun gold, so fan favorite. We love a sun gold. And then this is something that's polarizing. You either kind of love or hate to harvest these in the field because you have to harvest them with clippers on the vine. I love it. Not everybody loves it. But a pint of these, or like this on the side of your little cheese plate, is just like nothing prettier than this.
Right.
This
and they're
like
also super sweet. That Matt's Wild
So
Cherry that usually wins the taste test contest. These two are usually the two that really
I think probably
choose.
the
But
best
they taste very different. That sun gold is sweet, but it's the mellow acid flavor.
Okay,
Matt's Wild is
eating the
very
samples.
seedy, but also
This
sweet.
is my first bite of the season. Oh yeah.
Oh my, the sun gold's so fruity.
When you taste
almost tropical essence happening.
Because there are other things, like you can buy an off-season beefsteak tomato that comes from someplace else, but you're not getting a sun gold except at a farmer's market or at a CSA. So that's my first sun gold since, well, we insist on keeping our tomatoes till November 1st, so since November of last year.
Welcome back, sis.
It's like seeing an old friend again.
Oh, thank goodness.
Okay, so Katie, I have a question. Yeah. There's just been like kind of a lot of fanfare, kind of a lot of press, a lot of vegetable press lately about
full court press.
full court press, vegetable press about food on the East End, farms on the East End, farm apparel on the East End. Like, what have you read? What is happening? What are people talking about? What is going on?
It is a tidal wave of interest about specialty food stores, farm stands, farms, and produce grown in the Hamptons. And most of what's happening in the press is pointing to the expense, the price tag, the eye-popping price tag of what, said guacamole, lobster salad, or melon is. So this has recently been in Vogue, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, all in the last, 10 days.
Yeah.
Inside Edition just called. So they want to talk about it. Great. I can't wait to tell them about it. But so we are uniquely positioned though as Amber Waves. We're on the forefront with everybody's wearing our hat and we have the merch and it's fun, cool brand, and there's so much authenticity around what we do that we can jump right into the conversation to say the food that we grow is extraordinary. We're talking about why food costs what it does to produce in a very transparent way, how labor intensive it is, how long it takes. I mean, when somebody learns that, it takes 85 days to grow a tomato, you're like, come on, do I need to even tell you why it costs what it costs at the farm stand? Let's just enjoy it.
Do you remember that book that you were reading? I almost said our freshman year, but our apprenticeship year?
The title was brilliant because it intrigued me in a way, but it also scared me. Yes, it was called The $64 Tomato, and it is the actual cost of growing a tomato in New York State, an heirloom tomato in New York State. That's really what it costs after all the inputs and all the time and all the trials and tribulations to end up with this.
It's why it's so tricky to be a farmer. I mean, it's really a volume game. It's like why there's the get big or get out. It's really difficult to grow this variety of vegetables at scale. It's a kind of a funny thing. When we were younger at the farmers markets and we were so tired. I'm tired now, but it was a different kind of tired. And you'd hear people kind of go by and make a snarky remark of like, well, for that price, I should grow and sell tomatoes. And I would say, you should. You
please
try to do this.
Why don't you?
Yeah. Now it doesn't. Now anytime someone says something like that, I feel like it's an opportunity to talk about costs and labor and input and overhead and the expense of growing clean food, because really if you're buying clean food from a small producer, you're internalizing what would otherwise be an externality. So abuse of an animal, of the atmosphere, of soils, or you're controlling the whole process. So you're just paying the real actual cost. I mean, and in those articles, we're not the culprits of, the $75 lobster salad.
No.
And I feel so pleased and proud about our vegetable pricing. This bag of salad is $7.
What a bargain.
It's more expensive at a Kroger in the middle of the country than it is at our market right now. So I'm proud of it, and yeah.
And I think the other thing about buying to your point of volume, when you buy food in season, there is volume that's happening on a farm, and there is abundance, and you can get a zucchini for a deal.
Right, for a deal.
Because, boy, that farmer wants to move those zooks.
Stacking them deep and selling them cheap.
So that's another benefit of eating seasonally. Is in general, it is more affordable to eat seasonally because of the abundance in the moment and supply and demand issues.
Okay, so I'm so excited about tomatoes in August. I know you are too. Anything else you are excited about in the month of August? We still have a little bit of a minute, but anything else?
Yeah, I am. We're gonna celebrate all the great work we do with a fundraiser, the Hoedown, and that's mid-August, and it's where our whole community comes together, eats great food. There's great music. It's open to the public. It's a nice way to support what we do and support our work. Even if you can't come to the Hoedown because you're far away, you can still support our work. Buy a ticket for somebody who can't afford one, and it's everybody, and it's a great community night. So we're planning and getting all the ducks in the row for that right now, and I'm really excited about that.
Me too. I love the Hoedown.
I know, so fun. Okay, so thanks everybody for joining us. This was so fun. I love digging into the vegetables of July. You can find us on Spotify and YouTube and anywhere you get your podcasts, on Instagram too.
I love talking about vegetables with you.
It's so fun.
I worry we were a little too nerdy about it.
I mean, if you
I
can't
kind of think
nerd
we're
out
just
on
gonna keep
vegetables,
going.
then
What
what else
else
is
is
there?
there?
Let's get into it.
Coding,
We're
tech,
farmers.
I don't know.
I know,
Other-
but
yeah.
this is our farmer's eye view on veg, and there's some real gems we have after 18 years in the field. Next time we can get into tips and tricks, because this is freshly harvested, but what are you going to do with it when you take it home?
Oh, I'm so excited for
Tips
us
and tricks.
for us to cook through a box again. Yeah, I love doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see you then.
Okay.